and the other will be combined mean also. Fine. Two things we are going to take today. So just let me get ready. So what is the type of data that we are going to have basically? Say I have a class interval and frequency. The basic structure remains same. I write 1 to 6, 7 to 12, 13 to 18, 19 to 24, then it's 25 to 30, 31 to 36, and so on. Let the frequencies be 6, okay. I have to find the mean. When I'm just looking to the data, what I'm able to observe that the upper limit of the previous class interval or the preceding class interval is not same as to the lower limit of the succeeding class interval. Means what? These two numbers, when I'm talking about inclusive to exclusive, these two numbers, that is 6 and 7, when they're not same, then it is inclusive type data. Fine. Everywhere you can see this 12, 13 is not same, or 24, 25 is not same. What is the first task? Step 1 is I have to convert the data into exclusive type format. And how do I do that? Sejal?
Yes, sir.
How do I convert?
We have to convert the upper limit of the class and the lower limit of the preceding class to the same numbers.
So what is the step? How do I go about it?
So we find the difference between the upper limit and the lower limit and then divide it by 2.
Yes, Samrita?
Yes, sir.
How do I go about it?
Sir, to convert exclusive data.
What I have to do, I have to find adjustment factor. Fine?
Yes, sir.
Yes, adjustment factor is what? How do I write it out? Lower limit
And upper limit.
of the preceding class interval minus upper limit of, or it is succeeding. This part will be succeeding, lower limit of succeeding.
Okay, sir.
Minus upper limit of preceding class interval. Divide by 2. So this is equal to lower limit of the preceding succeeding class interval, which is 7, and upper limit of the preceding class interval is 6. So that is 7 minus 6 upon 2, which is equal to 1 upon 2, that is 0.5. Next is what? Subtract 0.5 from all the lower limits and add 0.5 to all the upper limits. Fine. So once we do that, the data is going to be in this format. The first class interval becomes 0.5 to 6.5. Similarly, next is 6.5 to 12.5, 12.5 to 18.5, 18.5 to 24.5. Next is 24.5 to 30.5. And finally, we have 30.5 to 36.5. Now, if you observe, once we have done this, all the diagonal values are equal. You can see this. So, from the inclusive type, it has got converted to exclusive type. And once you are onto this particular part, rest all the calculations are same. So what is next thing we are going to write? This is Ci, F, X and Fx. Summation F, summation Fx. The values of frequencies are 6, 9, 8, 7, 4 and 6. What will be the value of X? That is class mark. What I need to do, simply I'm going to add both the numbers and then divide by 2. So this is 3.5. What is the next number? 9.5, 15.5, 21.5, 27.5 and finally we have 33.5. I just calculated one value, that is the class mark of the first class interval. And after that, what did I observe? That the difference between the class intervals or the width of the class interval is constant, that is 6. The width of the class interval is constant. And how much is that value? That is equal to 6. So I have just added 6 to all the class marks. The first class mark 3.5 and keep on adding 6 to that. If you are using the calculator, you just have to type 3.5 plus 6 equal to and then keep on pressing equal to. 3.5 plus 6 equal to and then keep on pressing equal to. You don't have to add 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. The task will be done by the calculator. You just have to keep on pressing equal to. It will give you all the remaining class marks. That is the value of X. Now go about it. Go and find Fx. Chandan, can I have the values of Fx if you have calculated? Okay, so the first value is 21. Next one is 85.5. 124. 140, 50.5. Just check the calculation. I may be wrong. Normally I write the wrong value so that you make a correction. You don't copy it blindly. Yes, Ria, are the values correct?
So 4 multiplied by 27.5 should be 110.
Yes. It should be 110. What were the remaining values? The remaining values are correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's what I said, that all the values I won't be writing correctly. At least one value I make a mistake intentionally so that you're not copying the values as it is. You take an effort. What is the total? Fx? Shweta? Total of fx?
fx is 582.011.
Is it? Not possible. How come you got 0.011? Because in the decimal part, I'm able to see only the 0.5 at two different places.
582.0.
582.0.
692.
692. So I've got two different answers. Amrita?
Sir, 692.
Alan? Sneh? Anyone who ever has calculated?
692.
Sir, 692.
Okay.
692.
So Shweta, just check your calculation.
692.
Summation F?
Done.
40.
इसी बोले नहीं कौन बोल रहे हो आप इसी डोंट कहते बोले ना इसी
Okay. So next is finding mean. Mean which is equal to formula remains same, that is summation fx upon summation f, which is equal to 692 upon 40. Just calculate. How much?
17.3.
Okay. Seventeen point
3.
fine. Can I change the page?
Sir, not 30.
Okay, then
It's only 3.
that is fine. Even if I put 2 zeros, that is absolutely all right. So make it a habit of writing into two decimal places. Fine. Even if the calculator will give you the answer 17.3 only. Calculator doesn't give you the answer in 17.30. Calculator will give you answer 17.31. The zero part at the unit place, calculator doesn't support. Fine. But we have to make it a habit of writing into 2 decimal places. Can I move on to the next part? Okay. So next is we are moving on to combined mean and its application based question. So what do you mean by, like, what is the thought that comes to your mind when I'm writing combined mean? Anyone? When I'm writing combined mean, what thought comes to your mind? No one? Okay. See, I'm using the word mean, and at the same time I'm using the word combine. Means I'm going to combine the average of 2 or more than 2 quantities. Let's take an example. Right now we are 17 people in the classroom, fine, or 14 people in the classroom. Out of these 14, there are some boys, some girls. If I'm talking about the percentage of marks what have been scored by the group of girls, that is the average marks scored by the girls and the average marks scored by the boys. This is what I'm doing. I'm finding individually. I'm bifurcating the data or separating the data into 2 different identities, boys and girls. Fine. But for my analysis part, or for the further analysis part, in every classroom, I'm not going to take the data separately, that how many boys are there, how many girls are there, or what is the average marks of boys, what is the average marks of the girls. On a broader analysis part or broader aspect part, I want that what is the average marks of BIM, FIBIM, what is the average marks of FIBMS, what is the average marks of FIBCom, that way. So what I need to do is I need to combine, or I need to find the average of the entire class. It's not the average of the boys, it's not the average of the girls, it's the average of the entire class that I need to consider. Got it? This is just one example. Or other example I can give you, on a construction site, there are male workers, there are female workers, and it's the rule of the industry. Normally you would have observed nothing to, if I'm saying on a note that normally, if I'm saying the female workers are underpaid as compared to their male counterparts, isn't it? Normally it happens into the industry, in any industry also. Now, if the average marks, average wages or the average salary of the male worker is given, if the average wages of the female workers are given, but the manager wants that what is the average money he is paying onto the wages part, what is the total average money he is paying onto the wages part, taking male and female workers together. So how do I go about it? Because I have the data into 2 different formats. I have the average marks of the male workers, average wages of the male workers. Then I have the average wages of the female workers. I don't have the total wages of the male and female workers. I have the average wages. Then I have to find what is the average wages of all the male and female workers taken together at a construction site. Similarly, what is the average total marks or what is the average marks of all the students of a class taken together, that is boys and girls taken together, not separate identity, right? So these are just few examples. Or if it's only 2 quantities I have taken, I can go for the third quantity also. So you have a very extended family, large family with 20 members, 30 members, your uncle, means extended family. There are male, there are female, at the same time there are children also, isn't it? I know what the average age of the male members are there, what is the average age of the female members are there, and what is the average age of the children. Then I need to find what is the average age of all the members of the family taken together. Many times you would have heard that this kind of conversation takes place, that average age of the members of the parliament is this much. You would have heard the youngest member of the parliament is say 31 years old, the eldest member of the parliament is say 75 years old, and the average age of the members of the parliament is say 62 years old or 59 years old. That kind of analysis keeps coming up even into the Lok Sabha or into the Vidhan Sabha. Or you would have heard that kind of analysis, the average age of the Indians, average age of the Indians or average age of the Britishers is this much. During the pandemic time, the casualty was where maximum? It was in Italy. Yeah. And what it was said, that the casualty part, when we were talking about the average ages of the people. When we were finding it out, it was coming out to be more than 70 years old. So the people who were dying over there due to this COVID, it was the average age was calculated, and their average age was calculated to be more than 70 years. So what we have done, again, we have come to the part of averages. Now you would have understood that where statistics is going to be used, isn't it? Even while analyzing the data of the casualties of the pandemic, we are again back to the statistics. So it's used in every part of your life, wherever you go. Fine. So let's talk about how do we calculate it, fine? Or how do I go about it? Say, I'll just start with one simple question. There is a say there is class F5BIM. It has, but always it will have boys, it will have girls. Fine. Say number of boys is 25, number of girls is 20. Average marks scored by these 25 boys is say 72.4, and over here the average marks scored by the girls is 75.8. Boys don't get offended. This is normally what happens when the board results are declared, isn't it? That girls outshine boys. This is the article of the every newspaper after the results are declared, and we have to accept the fact. Anyway, so how many students are there in the class? How many students are there in the class?
45.
45. 25 boys, 20 girls. Now, if I have to find the average, marks of the class, how many quantities do I have? I have two different quantities, 72.4 and 75.8. Now, if I ask you the question that what is the average marks of the class, many students, what they do is they are going to add 72.4 plus 75.8 divided by 2. How much it is coming out to be? Is it? Fine. Now what I have calculated is absolutely wrong. It is absolutely wrong. Now this will be right when I have either this value as 25 or this value as 20. This method will be correct only when I have the same number of people in both the groups. If the number of people in the different groups are different, then this method is not going to be applicable. So we are not focusing on this particular concept that if the number of the participants in both the groups are same, because such kind of simple questions but always is never going to come to you. Fine. So what we have to do, what we need to focus. See how average works. If we, in the very first or second lecture of our discussion, we had said that you're losing 1 marks out of 10 marks and you're losing 1 marks out of 20 marks. Isn't the percentage different? If you're losing 1 marks out of 10 marks test, it means your loss is 10%. And if you're losing 1 marks out of 20 marks, the loss is just 5%. Isn't it? And if you're losing 1 marks out of 40 marks, then what is the loss? Can you calculate?
%2.5%.
2.5%. So loss of 1 mark is only taking place at every point. It's loss of just 1 mark. But when I'm converting to decimal, percentage, you can find the difference. Isn't it? So it's always said that if you're appearing in a test where the maximum marks is very less, you are always at loss. If a written exam of 20 marks is conducted and a written exam of 60 marks is conducted, and written test of 40 marks, and if there is a question 20 marks, and if there is a question of 4 marks, over there also I'll deduct 1 mark. And in a test of 60 marks also, I'll also deduct 1 mark for the same question. So effectively the percentage loss is more for you when the maximum marks for the test is less. Fine? Anyway, let's be back to our concept. To find the average marks, what I need to find is what is the total marks scored by the boys. What is the total marks scored by the boys? Then I'll find what is the total marks scored by the girls. First, I have to find the total marks scored by the boys. Then I'll find the total marks scored by the girls. And third step, I'll find the total marks scored by the boys and the girls. So that gives me what? The total marks of the entire class. And then I'll divide by the total strength of the class. And that gives me the average marks of the class. Right? So how do I find the total marks of the boys now? How do I find the total marks of the boys? Okay. I'm sure we have been using this formula when we were calculating it for the raw data. X bar is equal to summation x upon n, doesn't it? X bar is equal to sum of the observations divided by number of observations. So what I want right now is sum of the observations, or I want sum of the marks. I want sum of the marks of the boys. Similarly, I want the sum of the marks scored by the girls. Do I have the average of the boys? Average marks scored by the boys? Yes, I have the number of boys. Similarly, I have the average marks scored by the girls. Similarly, I can say I'm writing XG, XB, average marks scored by the girls. I'm writing NB, right? So this is summation X upon N of G, number of girls. And this I'm writing G, and this is B. B stands for boys and G stands for girls. This is just to differentiate the two data as I'm talking. Otherwise, I could have used 1 and 2 also, right? So can I calculate summation of X of B? What is the average marks? Average marks of, so what I do, I need to write, it has to be written XB bar into NB. Similarly, summation of XG is equal to XG bar into number of girls. This is 72.4 into 25. Similarly, summation of marks of the girls is equal to 75.8 into 20. Give the total for this. Product of this value. Sneh, you said something, but it wasn't very clear. 1810.
Yes.
Okay. 1810. And what about this one? 1510? 1560?
1516.
1516, sorry. So what is the total marks scored by taking boys and girls together? 3326, isn't it? Therefore, what is the average marks of the class? Take this total, that is 3326, divide by how many students do I have in the class right now? 45. And how much it is coming out to be?
73.91.
73.19. Someone give me the answer. This one, 73.19. Now, can you see the difference? 70 over here, I was getting an answer of 74.1, and at the other place, I'm getting the answer of 73.19. You can see clearly. You can see the difference of the two answers. Fine. So this was just in approach where you could have understood that what I'm trying to do or how I'm calculating, but this is not the way we are going to represent our answer. We'll be writing in a better way into proper notation form. This was just for the explanation part, that why I'm using this particular formula or what is the purpose of using this particular concept, right? And who had to be at loss? Now, very important concept. The average marks scored by the boys was 72.4. Average marks scored by the girls were 75.8. And where the average marks of the entire class is coming out to be 73. Okay. So what is the thing that is coming to your mind? Anyone can help me out? Anyone wants to speak for this analysis? The analysis is, whenever you are finding the combined mean, the answer will be in between the two values. This has to be in between the two values. It cannot be less than 72.4. It cannot be more than 75.8. Fine. And one has to lose, other has to gain. The boys scored only 72.4%, but they can proudly say that average marks of the class is 73.19. So they are on a better side now, isn't it? And even though the girls have scored 75.8%, but they'll have to settle down onto 73.19. They'll have to sacrifice for their friends. Yeah. So boys should always thank to their girls, to the girls of the class, that because of them, the percentage is on a higher side. Yeah.
So there is 73.91, not 1.
91.
Yes.
91 or 19?
91.
Others?
91, sir.
Okay. I'll change it. This is fine.